Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz vocalist Tatiana Eva-Marie. On the new 2021 CD, I Double Dare You with jazz piano legend Terry Waldo. She opened up about the new single that came out, Button Up Your Overcoat, from this debut album that will be out in full force on August 6, 2021, out on Turtle Bay Records. She is an internationally renowned jazz vocalist, and she joins forces with this piano legend on a collaboration of upbeat jazz and pop songs from the 20s and 30s. They first met and started performing together at some famous New York City parties, and it just went on from there. Enjoy their story.
Tatiana, thank you for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. My pleasure. And so your newest single, Button Up Your Overcoat, is coming out on your debut album, I Double Dare You, which is coming out on August 6th. And what I'd like to know is you've teamed up with jazz piano legend Terry Waldo. Talk to me a little bit about how this musical union happened for you two.
Well, I've known Terry for a few years now. We used to end up at the same parties together all the time and play music, and I used to go hear him play as a ritual in my life because those were some of the most inspiring moments for me as a young musician in New York City. So Terry and I, we started playing music together and being friends because I usually just follow him around. For the past few years, it's been like this. I'm just completely in awe of not only his talent, but also just the amount of stories he's accumulated over an entire lifetime of playing ragtime and jazz. So to me, he's a treasure. So we started playing music together, and he's one of my heroes. So it was like a miracle to me. Then Scott Asen, who owns Turtle Bay Records, decided that we should definitely record an album together with all the wonderful young musicians in the hot jazz scene in New York, because it's a very important moment in history, I think.
Well, and the interesting thing is that, you know, now that the world's kind of waking up from COVID, you're covering a tune from the 1920s, and people say that there may be another roaring 1920s. Talk to me about this coming out during COVID in a time where people are waking up and probably wanting to swing and dance and feel good.
Well, that's all I wish for, of course. It's been a very difficult year for everyone who likes to go out. It's been a difficult year for New York, which is party central. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are waiting impatiently for any opportunity to have a good time, have a drink, dance, and, you know, just, I think that we need to lean into this whole roaring 20s coming back thing. I think we should just completely let loose as soon as we all can.
Yeah, I agree. So talk to me about how you got the jazz bug, kind of where you were born and raised and how the music became your life.
I was born in Switzerland. I grew up between Switzerland and Paris. My parents are both musicians. My mother is a classical violinist. She used to live in New York before I was born. She used to play at the Metropolitan Opera. And my father is a film composer. He used to front a 1920s-style big band in Europe when I was growing up. So I used to very often sing with the band when I was about 8 years old. That's how I was in contact with all this amazing music at a very young age, not only through his band, but also through all the old films that I used to watch with him. Because I was home alone with my father a lot when my mother was on tour, and we would just binge watch 1930s, 1940s music, film with all that beautiful music that there is in those movies. And that's how I really got the bug, I think, through my parents and the unusual bohemian lifestyle I had as a child.
So when you did finally get out to your very first live jazz show, what was it, and how did it make you feel?
Oh, it was probably his band that I saw first. I don't remember the first time I went out to a concert, because as a baby, they just dragged me around everywhere. So to me, live music is like air. It's like breathing. It's the most natural thing in the world to me. That's also why this past year has been a disaster personally, because if I can't be around people playing music, it feels like death, you know.
As the leader of the Avalon Jazz Band, you've been around a lot of heavy people, Cyril Me and Cecile McLaurin-Salvant, and there's been a lot of others. What have you learned from these people that are what we would consider superstars in the realm of jazz, that have in turn helped you in your career and your growth?
I guess what I've learned is that it's important not to compromise on what you really believe in. The people you mentioned are good friends. Yes, I've been fortunate enough to share the stage with a lot of wonderful musicians, young and old. And I think really the common factor between all these fantastic people is that they believe in something very strongly, and they're ready to take it to the absolute end of its potential. So that's what I learned being around these people, is that you don't compromise, and you can never ever be lazy, not emotionally and not physically. And I think that's a good lesson in life in general.
Yeah. What do you like the best about being a singer or a professional musician?
I make people happy. That's what I like best. When I'm singing and I know that I made someone feel something, I made them smile, that's a full life for me. I can die happy when I know that I'm making that kind of a difference in someone's life, even for the time of one song. Even if it's 3 minutes, I'll take it. I feel fulfilled completely.
If you could get into a time machine and go back in time and see any jazz show in any era, where would you go? Who would you see? And who would you want to talk to?
Well, you know that's a terrible question, right?
Right, it can be, yes.
Well, because I I could talk about it for about 5 hours, but
yeah,
I love the 30s. I really love the aesthetic, the film, the music. I guess I would have loved to be somewhere in New Orleans in the 30s. I think that would have been a really, really good thing.
Yeah.
I love late 20s, early 30s jazz. So, of course, in New Orleans at that time, a lot of amazing things were happening. One thing that people are not too much aware of is Louis Prima's band in the early 30s in New Orleans, because everyone remembers him for, the Vegas stuff, the big I'm just a gigolo kind of thing. But I invite everyone to go check out the very early things he did when he was basically a kid, right? So he was still living in New Orleans and obsessed with Armstrong, of course, and playing in that tradition and playing very, very naughty, very fun, very party-like. And that's something I would have liked to see for myself. As for having a drink with someone and talking to someone, I have a total obsession for Frank Sinatra. I love him as everything. I think he's a fantastic actor. I think he's obviously one of the greatest singers ever. So I would have loved to get to know him, hang out with the Rat Pack, and do all sorts of fun stuff with them, I guess. But also, I think he would have been a very interesting man to talk to, because he thought a lot about his place in the world, and I try to do that too. And his way of interpreting music and words, that to me is the most inspiring thing. This is why I am so attached to this business, to this career, is that I just love the lyrics so much. I love telling the stories, and Frank Sinatra was a great storyteller.
So if you could go back in time and you have a dream and you run into your younger self, like around the time you were starting out, and you could give your younger self one bit of advice based on what you've learned all the way up to this point, what would it be?
I think the advice would be, it's all worth it. Keep doing it. And accept that life is not going to be easy, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
When we do return, when everybody kind of comes back, and hopefully there is another roaring 20s and everybody can feel good listening to great jazz, what do you hope we all realize about the absence of live music, both musician and the audience, whenever we get back into those environments?
I really, really hope that people will not have been used to staying in their pajamas and watching television. I'm a bit afraid that people are not going to want to go out because it's too much of a hassle or something. My hope is that everyone will be over the top constantly. I want people to be extreme. I want people to dress up more than they ever thought they could. I want everyone to just be a complete show horse and have a great time in the way our ancestors did, you know. Like, I think that even up into the 80s, people would just like dress up like crazy when they went on the town and just show the world that they're so ready to have a good time. And I think that that's also part of enjoying live music. It's not, we don't go there just to get some. We go there to participate in nightlife. And nightlife is a miracle. It's a wonderful thing. You don't, you're not just sitting there at a concert. You're participating in culture. It's a wonderful privilege. It's a wonderful thing. And I just hope that people understand that it takes effort to do that. And you have to really believe in it. You have to believe that there's a cause. And that having fun with beautiful things around you is a very worthy cause.
Between live shows that you and Terry will have as time moves forward and this new album that you have coming out, tell me why somebody out there that comes across your names or comes across your image on the internet or sees this album, tell them why they should either see you two perform live or get this album.
I always think it's very beautiful when different generations come together. So that's one very interesting thing about our project, is that he is this older ragtime pianist who's known everyone who played the actual ragtime music. He was friends with U.B. Blake. He's a part of history, and myself and the other musicians, we're the younger generation, but we love this music so much. And so that bridge between generations where we don't consider this a museum piece at all. We just consider this really great music that we love. But being played with all this history, I think that that's very special. And I think that that's something that can be moving to a lot of people. And apart from that, it's great music. It makes you want to have fun. And I think we're in a very cynical time for music when you listen to the lack of harmony in music, when you listen to the lyrics that I find dubious many times. Maybe you need to escape. Maybe you need to escape to something that just is fun and lighthearted and you can have a drink and a dance to, you know?
Absolutely, I agree. Tatiana, that was wonderful. Great way to wrap everything up. Thank you for taking a minute out from Neon Jazz. Good luck with the album and the return to the stage.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Tatiana for her time, music, and story. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Davino in the iTunes Store. Visit Neon Jazz at youtube.com, and for everything Neon Jazz all the time, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.